Hello, this is Miss Virginia from Springboro Public Library. I'm here to read you a couple more stories. We have some Christmas stories tonight, and I think you'll like them because they both have a very special Christmas person in them, and we like that. So I hope that you're going to have a very Merry Christmas, and I hope you have had some fun along the way getting ready for Christmas. And remember, listen to your mom and dad and be very helpful at Christmas time, and that makes Christmas go better. So our first book is called Welcome Comfort, and the words are written by Patricia Polanco, and she drew the pictures too, and you can see in the front was very bright pictures, and the back of the book shows a street in town that's decorated for Christmas. Welcome Comfort. A very bright page. Makes you feel all Christmassy all over. You see the stars and everything. There's a picture of a man he's a janitor with the children at school. Quentin Hamp was a joyous man and a common sight at Union City Elementary School, particularly when something needed doing. You see, he was the school custodian, and he scrubbed and dusted and polished everything in the school. But more than that, he was pleased by doing things for children. He helped them reach things from their tall shelves, bandaged skin knees, and even made sure that no one missed their bus when the school was out. He loved the children, and they knew it, and he knew each and every one by name. One day, as Mr. Hamp was mopping the floor in the hallway, he heard the laughter of children. Usually, he loved to hear their laughter, but something wasn't right. "Come, more comfort, come on, waddle across the playground," one of the boys yelled. There you see a picture of Mr. Hamp, and there's a boy that's welcome comfort, and there's a bunch of kids sticking their tongues out and laughing at him. Not very nice, is it? I think they're bullying him. What do you think? "Yay, Fatso," one of the little girls chimed in. "What kind of name is Comfort anyway?" They all laughed. When the children saw Mr. Hamp, they ran away. He put his arm around the shoulder of the boy. "I can't help that I'm fat," the boy cried. "Me either," Mr. Hamp chuckled. "When I was a kid, I was teased too. As I got older, it became real handy to be substantial." He smiled broadly. "You must be new in school. What's your name?" Welcome Comfort," the boy sputtered. "Now, if that isn't the warmest, most inviting name I ever heard." Mr. Hamp grinned from ear to ear. "Tell you what, if those kids keep on being mean to you, march right in here and you can help me do my chores." For the first time, Welcome smiled. "I'd like that," he said. And there they are comparing tummies. You're in school, you wonder what janitor does at your school, huh? As the days passed, Welcome spent more and more time with Mr. Hamp. Sometimes Mr. Hamp took him to have lunch with him and his wife Martha, the school librarian. They lived in a sweet little house right next to the school. Welcome learned how to do tie fishing flies, and Quentin, and how to make birdhouses. Welcome especially loved watching Quentin carve and whittle small toys out of wood. Martha sewed a shirt for Welcome, just like Quentin's. Welcome, who moved more from foster home to foster home, and who never knew who his real parents were, felt a part of the family at long last. It must be sad not to know who your real parents are and to be moved from home to home. You don't have your own things very long. That was a big fish. You see that big fish? Pretty big fish. One winter day when the children were being mean, Welcome ran into the school and found Mr. Hamp. He was his round, happy self, putting up Christmas decorations and lights. "Don't pay mind to them. Christmas is right around the corner, Welcome," Mr. Hamp smiled. "What's so great about Christmas?" Welcome said. "Why, boy, Christmas is the most wondrous time of the year. It never has been wondrous for me. What about your family? What about presents? And what about Santa? I don't have any family, and Santa, he's not even real. He's real all right, Mr. Hamp said. Seeing is believing, Welcome looked sadly at the floor. No, child, believing is seeing, Mr. Hamp said with a warm smile. I moved around so much that even if Santa was real, he wouldn't know where to find me, said Welcome. Child, he'll find you. Maybe he hasn't come because you haven't believed hard enough, Mr. Hamp said as he gave the boy a wink. And there's Mr. Hamp putting his arm around Welcome and talking to him about Santa Claus. As Christmas approached, Welcome practiced believing. He wished that he could spend Christmas with Martha and Quentin. But each Christmas Eve, they went north. It was just something they did every Christmas, Quentin said. They promised to spend the day after Christmas with him. On the morning of Christmas Eve, Welcome helped them pack their truck to leave. Remember what I said, kid. Believing is seeing, Quentin called to him as they left. Welcome watched them drive down to St. Joe Road until he couldn't see them anymore. That evening, Welcome could hear the bells ringing downtown in the Union City, and he looked out his window and saw people scurrying about doing their last-minute shopping. He missed Quentin, but he remembered his words. He was going to try to believe with all his heart that Santa would come. See the picture. The kids are outside. There's some skating, some doing some other stuff. And there's Quentin sitting watching. That night, Welcome drifted off to sleep, but he'd wake up every once in a while and say, there really is a Santa, there really is a Santa, but Santa didn't come. The hours passed and Santa didn't come. But sometime deep in the night, he was awakened out of a sound sleep. He sat straight up in bed. The room was full of light. He saw a huge man standing in the center of the light at the foot of his bed. He was wearing fur and red velvet, bells, and holly. He had a long silky beard and his face was shiny and bright. It was Santa. Santa laughed and it sounded like merry bells ringing, but he said nothing to the boy. He extended his hand and pulled him from his bed, then helped the boy bundle himself up, and the next thing Welcome knew, they were on the roof of the house. And there's Welcome with Santa. Look how surprised Welcome is. Welcome didn't even know quite how they had gotten there. Then his eyes found a beautifully carved sleigh and stomping, snorting, sleek reindeer. Santa nudged Welcome into the sleigh, and then they whistled to the deer, and the sleigh jerked with a start, and they were heading right for the edge of the roof. Welcome covered his eyes. Surely they would fall over the edge, but instead they lifted up. All Welcome could hear was the rushing of the wind past his ears. They climbed and climbed, almost as if the sleigh were an airplane, and soon they were above the clouds, but Welcome could see the lights below. They were leaving Union City. Welcome could hardly believe what was happening. And there's the picture of Santa and Welcome flying up in the sky. That's a pretty good picture, too. You see, Quentin looks a little scared. That night, they stopped at so many places delivering trains and dolls and games and boxes of every sort that Welcome lost count. But somehow, time didn't seem to pass the way it usually did. It seemed as if the night was forever. And there you see the city, and there's a sled down there. There's snow. I wonder if we'll get snow for Christmas. Christmas tree in the window. Soon their work was done, and they were making their long flight home. Welcome nestled into Santa's side and looked up at him. Finally, Santa spoke. "I have something for you too, Welcome." Santa pointed at the beautiful gold pin shaped like a star that was pinned on his own vest. Behind the star was the most beautiful and perfect sprig of holly that Welcome had ever seen. "This is yours," said Santa softly. Welcome looked at the pin as long as he could, but his eyelids got heavy and he drifted off to sleep. You see the pin right there on Santa? The gold star and holly. Beautiful, isn't it? Santa said that was Welcome's. The next thing Welcome knew, he was in his bed. His clothes were hung up just the way they always were. Oh no, he thought, it was only a dream. Then he remembered the pin. If Santa had really been there, the pin would be here too. He looked everywhere, in his sheets, on the table, on the floor, but the pin was nowhere to be found. Now Welcome knew for sure that it had been a dream, but it was a wonderful dream, but it was a dream just the same. "How do you know that it was a dream?" Quentin asked him when he and Martha came home. That was when Welcome discovered the presents by the door. One of them a beautifully carved fish that Quentin had made out of wood. "I know," Welcome said, "I know. He didn't tell them about the pin." As the years passed, Welcome treasured that fish for many reasons. Certainly because it was the first Christmas present gift from Quentin, and because it had always reminded him of the Christmas of that wonderful dream. There's a picture of Martha and Quentin and Welcome and the fish, the presents, the Christmas tree. During the next years, Martha and Quentin were the next best thing to having parents. They were so proud when he graduated from high school and delighted when he got a job in the very same school where Quentin worked. They were especially happy when Welcome married a sweet girl over at Coldwater Way named Ruby Jean. Quentin and Welcome were always together. They fished together, they carved together, and they just sat and watched the sunset together. Now at school, Welcome grew to love all the kids almost as much as Quentin did, and Christmas became his most favorite time of year. He loved helping Quentin put decorations around the school, and especially loved telling the children Christmas stories. Martha and Quentin still went up north alone for Christmas Eve. "It was just something we always do," Quentin still said. But Welcome and Ruby Jean spent every other moment of the season with them in front of their warm fireplace there in Union City. So there was always joy at Christmas time, but Welcome could never forget the pin. And here's a picture of Welcome getting married and Quentin and Martha on his side, and there's some little girls dressed up as little flower girls and bridesmaids. Then one year, just as Christmas vacation drew near, the principal announced that Mr. Hamp would be retiring. He's stepping down as superintendent of maintenance. And due to the recommendation of Mr. Hamp himself, Mr. Comfort will be taking his place. The school exploded into cheers. "Can't think of anyone who deserves a job more than you, kid." Then Quentin added, "By the way, Martha and I want you and Ruby Jean to come up north with us this Christmas Eve." Not only had Welcome gotten a wonderful promotion, Quentin and Martha had invited him and Ruby to be with them on Christmas Eve. "You're sure?" he asked. "We're sure, and high time," Quentin said with a wink. And there's Quentin and the principal and Welcome Comfort getting his new job, and all the kids clapping and being happy. On Christmas Eve, after driving the longest time, they finally arrived in his dearest little cabin on the edge of the lush forest of pine trees. They all unpacked the truck and made supper together. Then, nestling in front of the crackling fire, it had started to snow, and the flakes were making patterns on the windows of the cabin. Welcome was thinking, "I want nothing in the world," that when Quentin handed him a beautifully wrapped small box. Open it, Martha called out. Welcome's heart almost stopped in his chest. There, in that little box, was a beautiful gold pin in the shape of a star, clasped around a perfect sprig of holly. Where did you get this? Welcome asked him breathlessly. Just put it on, boy, Quentin said as he grinned from ear to ear. There's Welcome holding the star pin and everybody looking on. He's going to put it on now. Welcome pinned it to his shirt. A tingle started from the tips of his toes and moved up his legs, through his heart, burst right out of the top of his head. Why, it felt as if light was pouring right out of his skin, and he felt himself laughing, a laugh that sounded like brass bells ringing and chiming in a bell tower. Welcome turned to look at himself in the parlor mirror. He couldn't believe what he was seeing. There before his eyes was the same specter that he had seen in his room on the magical night of Christmas Eve so many years ago. It was Santa. But this time, the Santa was him. So that pin was magic, and it turned Welcome Comfort into Santa Claus. What do you think about that? Told you I was retiring, Quentin said as tears glistened his declined eyes. I thought you meant at school, Welcome could barely say. I did, but I meant this too. It's your time now, kid. Welcome walked outside to find reindeer gathering right next to the cabin steps. Martha was bridling the deer, and Ruby Jean was pushing bags of toys and packages into the sled. Don't worry, kid. After a few times, you'll know this routine like the back of your hand, Quentin said, as Welcome stepped into the sled. They all stood and watched the sleigh rose. Be merry, son. Be merry and Godspeed, Quentin called up. But the sleigh had disappeared into the night sky. All that was left was the sound of snow falling and the distant laughter of children everywhere. And there he goes, up in the sky to deliver the toys. He's now Santa Claus. And you wondered how Santa Claus became Santa Claus, huh? There's different stories. Now, Welcome Comfort was a joyous man and a common sight at Union City Elementary School, particularly when something needed doing. He loved all of the children at that school and knew each and every one by their name. One day, as Mr. Comfort was building new bookcases in the library, he heard the laughter of the children. Usually he loved to hear their laughter, but something was different this time. Something wasn't right. And then he saw a group of children gathering around one small little boy. Look, here's a little chubby boy that the kids are all making fun of. So what do you think is going to happen to him? Do you think that Welcome Comfort will take him on a ride and he'll become Santa Claus when he grows up? What do you think? I thought that was a nice story. Makes you think a lot though, doesn't it? Who will pull the sleigh tonight? And it's written and the pictures are drawn by Laura Rader. And look, there it is. There's Santa Claus. And on the back, there's the reindeer and elves. You can see elves in the sleigh in this one too. And there's a little kitty cat and a doggie with antlers on. Who will pull Santa's sleigh tonight? Elves in the sleigh. Cleaning it up and getting it ready, huh? Christmas was just around the corner. The toys were wrapped, the lists were checked, Santa's sleigh was polished and ready to go. Let's visit the reindeer, Santa said to Mrs. Claus. There she's got the list of who's naughty and who's nice, huh? There's the elves getting ready to pack up that sleigh. All different kinds of things and toys. As they approached the stable, Santa called out, "Hello, Dasher and Dancer and Prancer and Vixen. Hello, Comet, Cupid, Donder and Blitzen. Are you ready to fly?" And there was a loud, "Ah-choo!" Look, it blew the shutter off the window. A loud achoo. Oh, excuse me. "Goodness gracious," exclaimed Mrs. Claus. The reindeer looked miserable. "Oh, cough, honk, honk," groaned. We have cold," said Dancer. "Poor dear," said Mrs. Claus. "I feel terrible," Sniffle moaned. "Thank you." And she's giving him a tissue. There they are. All 8 of those reindeer in bed. I don't see Rudolph anywhere. Do you see Rudolph? Maybe he's the only healthy one. What's Santa gonna do now, huh? Santa rushed off to tell the elves. "The reindeer are sick. Who will pull the sleigh?" he asked. "We need a backup plan." Santa paced up and down. He scratched his head and looked serious. He says, got to think, got to think. There they go, got to think, got to think. I think better sitting down. Me too. Gasp. He had an idea. "We'll find stand-ins," he said. "He can't be serious," they said. "Who's he gonna get to stand in for the deer?" Auditions today in the workshop number 2. "Wow," Santa says. He says, "Can you fly?" "I thought I'd wing it. We don't accept bribes." The auditions were announced and a large crowd lined up to try out. Look, there's ducks, ostriches, pigs, elephant, hippos, bears, monkeys, alligators, chickens, and penguins. Oh, I think these are platypus. See all the different animals trying out for Santa's reindeer? The performers were unusual. Wow. There's monkeys. There's the ducks dancing. Cows. Oh, looky, rabbits on a flying trapeze. This is an elf calling, "Next!" I don't know if he's going to find anybody. Maybe the cows. Cows and horses might be able to do it. The elephants. I don't know how the elephant could fly. Now, none was right for the job. Now I think I've seen it all. There's an elephant with a whole bunch of balloons to make him fly. Think that'll work? I don't know. That elephant's pretty big, isn't he? Poor Santa. Who will pull the sleigh? "I've got it," he said. Santa went to his workshop. He thought, he sketched, he thought some more. Then he had an idea. He's drawing plans on different things that fly that maybe he could make. Maybe he'll make an airplane. What do you think? "Here's my new plan," said Santa. "Wow, oi, it's silly. It can't be done." There were a few grumbles and groans, but Santa and the elves went to work. They worked hard, they worked fast, and at last they finished. "We did it," shouted Santa. "Let's show Mrs. Claus." Miss Elf says, "I still don't believe it." Wait and see. Oh, Mrs. Claus! They've got it covered up so you can't see what it is. I wonder what Santa made. The balloon went up, up, up. Hooray! And then the balloon came down, down, down. Oh! He made a big blimp. And it got popped. See the bird? He's coming down and he's going to pop it. The bird pops the balloon. Now that's not going to work either, is it? Oh, what's Santa going to do? The balloon was deflated and so was Santa. I'm all out of ideas, he sighed. I'll bring you a cup of hot cocoa, said Mrs. Claus. Santa sipped the cocoa. Ah, he said, this always makes me feel good as new. Santa and Mrs. Claus looked at each other. I have an idea, said Santa. Do you think? Yes, I do, she finished. I wonder what their idea is. He's drinking his cocoa and he's feeling good. What do you think his idea is? Mrs. Claus has the same idea. Santa and Mrs. Claus took a big pot of cocoa to the reindeer. I hope this works, said Santa. Will it work? Keep your fingers crossed. There's the reindeer. They're looking out the window. Drinking cocoa. Cocoa's good. I wonder if it'll... I don't know if it cures cold, but they think it does, huh? Let's see. I feel terrific. I'm all better. We feel good as news. The reindeer stopped sniffling. They stopped sneezing. They looked much better. They were ready to fly. Hot cocoa saved the day, Mrs. Claus said. Best cocoa I ever had. I like the candy cane. I've got my bells on. Come on, let's fly, this reindeer says. They're all ready to go. So they're all ready for Christmas Eve too. Christmas Eve is saved once more. Everyone cheered as they flew out of sight. Hot cocoa for all, and to all a good night. And there's all the people raising up cups of hot cocoa as they fly over. Did you ever have hot cocoa with candy cane in it? It's pretty good. These elves say, this is delicious. Ask an adult to help you. And this is Santa's special hot cocoa. Makes 3 delicious mugs. And the ingredients are 2 tablespoons of cocoa, 3 tablespoons of sugar, 1/4 cup of hot water, 1½ cups of milk. A lot of tiny marshmallows are optional. 3 candy canes are optional. Pour the cocoa and sugar into a saucepan and slowly add the hot water. Stir ingredients until blended together. Bring mixture to a boil. Boil over medium heat for about 2 minutes, stirring constantly. Reduce heat and add milk, stirring occasionally until the entire mixture is heated through. Do not boil. Remove from heat and stir well. And if you want to serve marshmallows and candy canes, add a big dash of Christmas cheer for one of the best for flavor. The end. So that's our stories for tonight. I miss you at Springboro Public Library. We're coming back sometime I'll be back in January, do some story times together. And we'll have some more take and makes, and we'll just all have a good time. I want you to be safe and wash your hands really well. Wear your mask when you're in crowded rooms and with a lot of people. And remember that we love you. We love you at Springboro Public Library. Come in and get your movies. We got Christmas movies. We got Christmas books. We have lots of things for lots of fun. Bye. Merry Christmas.